Most high performers, men and women, often run on empty. Like we just keep on going, not thinking that burnout is around the corner, or in fact, it may be here already. So today we have Dr. Lemmon guiding us through the realignment of burnout and frequency, natural medicine, and of course, energy medicine. Welcome, Dr. Lemmon.
Great to be here.
So, you probably read the quotes that burnout is not about time management, but it's about energy management. So, don't manage your time, manage your energy. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think we have to manage our time too as much as we can. That's our number one most limited resource that we only have a certain amount of, and we can never make more. So obviously blocking your time and organizing with planners and scheduling in the rest and the sleep and all those things is a critical aspect of high performance for sure. But managing energy is that other aspect that's kind of hidden that people don't think about enough. And so that's what we're talking about more today, is that energy management and understanding where that comes from and how to correct it.
And you know what? I love what you just said, even at the beginning, is that we've gone from one extreme to the other, right? Where we were saying, okay, you only manage time, you disregard energy. And then it's like, no, 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 it's not about time. It's not about time, it's about your energy. But really, you just said it is both. Because having energy and not time can also lead to burnout, right? Because you're trying to do so much. So let's talk about exactly what you just said about energy. It's not something that you can, what is it? Energy can only be transformed, it cannot be created. Or so physics, now we're really going to go around all the disciplines. But so energy in the body, right? From an energy frequency and natural medicine. How do we even begin, especially as we grow younger? How do we even begin to replenish that, or to even know when it's being depleted?
It's generally those signs of burnout, the signs of fatigue. You start to feel that fatigue, heaviness, sluggishness, and we used to think that it was about the adrenal glands and having adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue and that kind of thing. In the 80s and 90s, that was kind of the prevailing paradigm, I guess,
Word.
of you need to nourish your adrenal glands. But a lot of us are more and more thinking about mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouse that create the energy in the cells. And so that's a place where we're looking a lot more as far as what is causing these mitochondria to malfunction. And that comes down to something we've talked about in the past of toxicity. There's a lot of these hormone disruptors and mitochondrial poisons in the food and the pesticides and herbicides and things like that. Different chemicals that can, over time, gradually poison the mitochondria so that they don't function as well, don't create enough energy flow in the body to heal or to keep up with your steady pace of lifestyle that you're moving towards. So that's one of the issues that we're looking at. So you have your lifestyle choices that you're in your schedule and trying to burn the candle at both ends and kind of push too hard, that can cause that burnout. But then there's also that biochemical aspect of burnout, internal burnout of the mitochondria just don't have enough, the machinery is starting to break down, and they're not having enough of the right fuels or the right, or they have too many of those toxins that are harming the mitochondria. And so that's one of the biochemical things that we look at a lot. So that's an interesting new aspect of part of that holistic picture of looking at your time and your actual calendar, and then your energy at the mitochondrial cellular level, and then your behavior, making sure you have the sleep and the nutrition and exercise and all those pillars of health in place as well.
Yeah, and you know what I find, and I've tried it, and I try it as often as I can. I don't always succeed, which is go back to your baseline, because I don't have many vices that I that I'm willing to own up to, but high caffeine consumption is one of them. I'm a bit like a toddler on espresso, right? And what happens is you're consuming so much of it, at least I am, that you forget what your baseline is. And what happens is then you can't sleep because you're like so pumped up. And then it just creates this cumulative, like, okay, you need more caffeine because you can't sleep. Then you can't sleep. You're tired. You need more caffeine, right? And it's not, I find on weekends, especially long weekends, when I decide, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to drink coffee. I'm not going to drink anything with caffeine, right? Which caffeine hides in places that we don't realize is there. And you know what? You feel it. You almost go through, at least I almost go through withdrawals, and you're like a case study for how often should we remember to go back to our baseline?
Yeah, it's a nice practice to try to do those detoxes and kind of get
Yeah,
that
I
out
guess
of the
that's what it
system
is.
a few times a year. But yeah, you can get through those withdrawals and be a little cranky sometimes when you're trying to back off.
Never.
But it is it does have some addictive properties, and it is a powerful plant chemical for sure, that caffeine.
Yeah.
But it does kind of mask the fatigue, where it's kind of artificially blocking that tiredness signal that your body is trying to send. So it's a little bit like smashing out the check engine light on your car, where you're just getting rid of that signal and trying to push forward and push forward. So
What a great
it is nice to taper down and get that out of your system a
But
few times a
usually
year.
with high achievers, is I know I'm not alone, right? Is just like you got to do so much, right? So how would you even begin to recognize that you are burning the candle at both ends?
I think when your sleep is disturbed, when your energy is disturbed, when you start to have those crashes in the afternoon, or you start falling asleep at the wheel when you're driving, all those kind of signals. Ariana Huffington talks about her sleep revolution book, and she was just pushing and pushing and saying, "Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead," and that kind of attitude. And then she just like had a just complete collapse and smashed her face into her desk and woke up with a bloody nose or whatever, and was just
Oh
like,
my word. I had not heard that.
so yeah, there's the aspect of sleep that you can be chronically sleep deprived, and that will contribute to that burnout picture. And then there's the toxic piece with the mitochondria that can contribute. And then
Can
there's
you expand a little bit on the sorry, mitochondria? What just tell me like I'm a toddler on espresso.
toddler on espresso.
Yes.
Like most of us learned in high school biology, the mitochondria are little organelles that live inside the cells that they think are basically bacteria that essentially learned how to fuse and become symbiotic with and become part of our biology, but they actually have their own DNA and everything. So that's why there's the theory that they originated as mitochondria billions of years ago, and then we somehow became part of our life. And but they essentially take the glucose that we consume as our food sources and our fatty acids. So they take our fat and our sugar and combine that with water and run it through a really complicated machinery inside that runs through different, it's called the electron transport chain. and it basically is a little power generator. So it basically turns your fat and your sugar into electricity to run your body, and then it uses that electricity to take ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and it adds the phosphate group to turn it into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and that's our molecule of energy, essentially. So that is how we have energy in our bodies. We have to have a store of ATP, and our mitochondria are creating ATP 24/7, and that's how we are alive. And once that flow stops, that's essentially what death is your mitochondria stop making that ATP. And ATP is used for thousands and thousands of chemical reactions in the body, from moving our muscles to beating our hearts to thinking and moving neurons in the body, so in the brain. So it's a critical part of energy, and since they're almost like their own little life forms, they can get poisoned by these chemicals and toxins. And since they're so small and even smaller than our cells, and they live inside of our cells, they're even more fragile than our own human cells. And so they're kind of the canary in the coal mine, if you will. When we have those environmental toxins, they can start to malfunction before our own cells start to malfunction. So that's why energy is one of the first things to go often in chronic disease and toxicity and burnout is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Feel that.
Oh, now, is it the same for, and you and I are going to have many, many more conversations about this, but is it different for men and women? And does age accelerate the depletion of our energy source, I guess?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's you can do a lot of lifestyle things to improve and stimulate the mitochondria to reproduce and create more mitochondria, and weight training is one of the big ones that helps stimulate that. So exercise and resistance training helps to boost that. The more muscle mass you have, the more mitochondria you have. And so that might be a difference between men and women with the testosterone levels. Men have a slightly more mitochondria because of the testosterone and more muscle mass that in general men have. So that's one of the things that potentially women have a little bit more susceptibility to
Work
that
to do, yeah.
burnout.
And
But
actually for women, now that we're like kind of identifying that, if you're talking about women, we tend to, and I shall speak to all my sisters, we're always trying to cut back on sugar, cut back on fat. And you add to that, caffeinated, like all those masks that are you're trying to cope and make up the energy. So and you don't work out, and you don't do weights, or your muscle mass may not be as intuitive as men sees for growth and for repair. Really, women are even more susceptible to this mitochondrial depletion, or inner energy source depletion. Is that a fair assessment?
Exactly. And then, I don't like your other question about age. I don't think it's necessarily about age, but it goes along with age because of that toxic accumulation over the years, because we're in that environment that we live in on planet Earth, and we're eating what we're eating. It just kind of gradually accumulates over time, unless we're doing that detoxification on a regular basis and the cleansing and purposely getting those things out. Then they're usually fat soluble toxins, and they kind of stick around in the body for a long time. So it kind of accumulates. The older you get, the more you start to break down in that mitochondrial level. But if you can do those regular cleanses and detoxing, then that can really help to
how often should
things
we
clean.
How often should we detox? And does intermittent fasting count as detox?
Intermittent fasting is a great way to give
I'm
your body
learning. I can be taught.
it's a great way to give your body a break from those inputs of so much food and so much fat and so much sugar and so many of the herbicides and pesticides and everything. But so it does help with cleansing. But yeah, there's just a lot of different steps, but having binders that help actually bind to those toxins and eliminate them from the body is an important step. And then so certain foods, certain supplements definitely help with getting things out as well. But intermittent fasting can be a piece of that puzzle for sure.
So when you're putting, this is why, you cannot follow your friend's protocol, or, your friend's strategy for rebuilding energy and health and balance, right? Is so individual that, and you do, like, we of course recommend Dr. Lemmon, but people can, like, you do telehealth, right? Somebody can have a consult with you and do like a lifestyle audit, or how does that work when it's remote?
Yeah, we there's a lot of great functional medicine tests that can be ordered and drop shipped directly to the patient. And there's different blood tests and urine tests that you can go to a local lab and get a blood draw, or just do a home kit for the urine analysis and then send it into the lab directly. So there's a lot of really great ways to do that specialty testing and get a lot of really great information about how to optimize your biochemistry and fix a lot of those issues.
Yeah, because it's not one thing. It's like the same way I do when I do weight training. You cannot just like weight train your arm. Like, you gotta do your whole body, right? And it's the same with energy, like trying to especially for people that are driven. Like, honestly, if I had more energy, I probably try to take over the world, from an ambition perspective, right? But you do feel it, like, is and I do find counterintuitive that a lot of people, when they take breaks and vacations and they rest, they come back refreshed and that they can do more. For me, it's the opposite. If I take a break, it's like I lose the momentum, right? I lose speed, and it's that much harder to
Hmm.
get back to it when I do come back. But rest. We often think that rest is just sleep, right? But there's other ways to rest your systems, in a with energy, frequency, and natural medicine. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the meditation and self hypnosis or guided visualization, audio programs, all those are really, really beneficial for kind of clearing the mind, relaxing, getting the brain waves shifted to a more relaxed alpha state or theta state, or even the delta as the deep sleep state. When deep meditation states, you can get into that delta wave sleep as well. But that's kind of training your body, your brain, to downshift those brain waves into those slower, more calm states. And just really powerful little miniature resets for just 10 or 15 minutes during the day. And
Oh, during the days. Okay. So during the day, sorry. This is a very personal topic, as you can tell. When you wake up in the middle of the night, or like at 3 or 4 or whatever time you wake up, and it's got to do with it's linked to your organs, like in Chinese medicine, what time you wake up is linked to an organ or something like that. But notwithstanding, you wake up, it's 2 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock, and then you're trying to go back to sleep and you can't. And you begin to, like, not freak out, but you're kind of like stressing over the fact that you cannot go back to sleep. Are you better off just, okay, you know what? Wake up and do something, like read, like engage, instead of fighting your system, at trying to do something that it just doesn't want to do?
Yeah, it's usually the recommendation to kind of wake up and get out of bed and do some boring reading or something like that to give yourself a little bit of time to get tired. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, when I wake up in the night, it's different for everyone. It's a very personal thing, obviously, but yeah, the blindfold to block out the light, the earplugs to block out
Ooh.
sound, and then I just count backwards from 100 to 99 and just do a deep breath with every count. And I've never made it to like 80 or so, just
Oh, wow.
just a few seconds. You just will generally your brain gets bored of counting backwards really fast. Just shut off and say, I'm out, I'm going to sleep. But
I'm
everyone's
trying to
different.
learn I'm trying to learn Latin. So so I just put on some, like, either a podcast, like something in Latin,
Mm.
or whatever, and yeah, you're out before you know it. Like, I don't know how well or how long it's going to take me to learn it, but it definitely works. It definitely works. So you're saying, okay, get up, relax, or find a technique. And I did see recently that there's now, those, like, the darkening masks, but now they're weighted. Like,
Mm.
like the weighted blankets, but now the
Yeah.
masks are weighted. And I don't know, we're gonna have Dortha come join us with her somatic. She's the one that comes up with all these remedies.
Yeah, I haven't
And
waited
she's
much.
certified, so I do trust her. But it's just so many options, right?
Right.
That, like you said, it's very personal, and you got to find the one that works for you. So definitely rest is something we need to do. So, wrapping up, if when you are a high achiever, for someone to tell you, oh, slow down, don't work so much, or calm down, or is it's like telling a bird don't fly. It's so ingrained and intuitive, right? Innate, I guess. um what is something that high achievers can do to be able to play the long game before their body collapses, right?
Yeah, it's about having all those pieces of the holistic puzzle together, like we talked about. So if you are juggling all those balls in the air, you can keep them juggling if you have all those pieces in place. If you are resting, if you are exercising, if you do have your nutrition in place, if you do have healthy relationships, if you're connecting to the earth and nature, doing deep breathing, meditation, all those things. Um, if you read books like Tim Ferriss, where he's interviewing all these high achievers, that's one of the number one things is they're all meditators. They're all have figured out
Mhm.
that that's one of the secrets to keep going is to practice meditation, to understand mindfulness, and to give your brain and your body that break and that renewal and that perspective to have that inner peace to keep going.
Yeah, mindfulness. I did a graduate program at U of T. It made all the difference. All the like, it is just a game changer. So I'm now a toddler on espresso who's mindful. And we were speaking about the other day about stepping on grass, and we've
Mhm.
had so much rain in the GTA at the last few days that there's lots of grass. I was going to take a picture and send it to you. It's like, we do have grass, frozen, but we
Yes.
do have grass now. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And if you want to have questions for Dr. Lemmon, or find out more about energy medicine, frequency medicine, and of course, natural medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine, all the different types, so that we find the right protocol that works for you. So thank you so much. And until next time, thank you, Dr. Lemmon.